Hello, I'm James Patterson, and in this video tutorial we're going to take a look at Photoshop levels. So we can access levels in two ways. First of all, we can press Command or Control and L to bring up the levels dialog box. Any changes we make here will directly affect our image, so I'm going to cancel that and instead go to my layers panel here and click the adjustment layer icon, and we'll choose levels from here. And you can see this adds my levels adjustment as a layer above my original image, so I have my original image remaining untouched at the bottom of my layer stack. Let's just hide my layers there. So levels are very useful for controlling the tones within the image to make the most of them. You can see I have three sliders here along the bottom of my histogram that I can use to alter the highlight point, the midpoint and the shadow point in the image. So I'm going to hold Alt and drag my shadow point inwards. And you can see this makes my entire screen white. Now if I continue to drag towards the right, you can see parts of my screen begin to go dark. So these are the areas in the image that are being clipped, which means they're turning to pure black. So the area there by the ear, you can see that that's going very dark there if I continue to drag inwards. So if I drag into an extreme level, you can see all of these areas here have gone purely black. Let's hold Alt and drag back outwards. So similarly with my white point, if I drag that inwards, you can see parts of my image begin to go white, and these are the parts that are going purely white. If I let go again, you can see all of this area here has gone totally white and therefore clipped. So let's hold Alt and drag that slider back outwards. So I want to drag my sliders inwards to a point where I can boost the contrast without clipping too many of the tones. So let's hold Alt again. I'm going to drag my black point slider inwards, and I just want to add a little bit of pure black, maybe in the area there by the ear. So I can drag my slider inwards until I have a few tones in there that are pure black, but not going too far with it, something like that. Then with my white point slider, I'm going to drag that inwards. And I don't really want any of that cheek area to be going white, so I'm just going to drag it into the very edge of my histogram here before it meets any of the tones. Finally, you can use this grey point slider in the middle to adjust the gamma of the image and make the whole scene lighter or darker. So something about there looks good. And let me just finish by flicking my adjustment layer on or off to show you how that levels adjustment is really making the most of the tones. Okay, so I have a few different images open in Photoshop here. I'm going to show you some very useful tips using levels to make the most of the tones. So let's start with this image here. I'm going to add a adjustment layer. Let's choose levels. And you can see I have three different eyedroppers here that I can use to interactively adjust the tones within the image. So I can set a black point. So if I click on my black point eyedropper, then let's click, say, on a lighter area in the sea here. And anything darker than that point that I just selected is going to go purely black. So it's going to remap my tonal scale. So obviously, because I chose a lighter area, then everything darker than that light area has gone black and made the whole scene completely dark, which is what we don't want. So I'm going to press Command or Control Alt and Z. And if I select a point within these kind of looming stones here, so let's select a black point up here somewhere, you can see that's turned all of those areas completely black, which has given me a nice stark shape to them. And similarly, I can choose a white point. So if I click on my white point eyedropper here, then just click up in an area of sky here, you can see that's made my sky completely white. So it's clipped some of the tones within the image, but it's really given me a stark, kind of really contrasty, nice finish. So next we'll move on to my second image. I'm going to show you another useful way of using the eyedroppers. So let's add a levels adjustment layer again, and this time I'm going to select my grey point eyedropper here. So let's select that, and you can see this image has got quite a strong yellowy reddy kind of cast to it. So we can remove that using my grey eyedropper to click on an area in the image that I know to be grey. So in this image here, I think this kind of area along the edge of the roof here is going to be a nice grey area to sample from. So if I click within that area, you can see that's immediately fixed the colour cast in the image. If I click somewhere else, you can see how I can continue to select different areas for my neutral grey. But I think this area is best here. Next I have this image here, which I'm going to add another levels adjustment layer to. And this time we'll have a look at the auto options. So rather than just clicking auto here, which will boost the contrast in the image, let's go ahead and undo that. I'm going to click on the drop down menu here and we'll choose auto options. So you can see I have three different ways of creating an automatic algorithm that will adjust the tones in the image. So enhance monochromatic contrast, enhance per channel contrast, and find light and dark colours. So I think perhaps the second option here, enhance per channel contrast, is the best one to use. So let's hit OK. You can see that's affected the tones within my image, and it's given me some kind of muddy colours that I don't really want. So another great tip when using adjustment layers, you can change the blend mode of an adjustment layer so it doesn't affect the colours. So let's change the blend mode here to luminosity, and there you can see my colours haven't been affected, only the contrast. So I can flip that layer on or off, and you can see that's given me a nice result that's completely automated. So I haven't done any adjustments myself, I've just let Photoshop work it out. Let's move on to this image. And one final tip for those who are feeling lazy or just want a quick fix, you can add a levels adjustment layer and then choose a preset from the drop down menu at the top here. So we can make the image darker, we can increase the contrast in three different ways, we can lighten the shadows. I think with this image here, if we go mid-tones darker, there we go, that's had the desired effect and improved the tones. So there we have it, a few quick tips to make the most of your images using levels.